guys coming from a background in sports, they can be successful in technology. Not true, but we are already spending a lot of money in sports. I'm not saying that we are spending well and in the right places, but it's a lot of money. And so that I know, so people works in Portugal in sports, they need to be entrepreneurs.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sporting Global podcast. And today we're here with Ricardo Carvalho. And Ricardo, how are you? How's life in Lisbon these days?
Yes, thank you very much, Sam. Everything okay? And in Lisbon is always the same thing. Good weather, good food, good wine.
Right.
You always enjoy your life.
I mean, like, yeah, I just have to take us back a little bit before we really dive into the questions here, because I mean, like, last time I saw you face to face, was right before the pandemic. We were like having like all this great conversation, about the startup ecosystem in Lisbon and your project and like FMH and all this stuff, and here we are, like, we are still sitting in this we're gonna say pandemic bubble, but hopefully we will be back and to meet face to face again. But it's good to see you, Ricardo. It's good to see you, and it's a pleasure having you part of the podcast.
Right.
Well, for everyone that are tuning in, make sure to, like and subscribe to the video. It really helps us out. And of course, like, you will get every week key tips from leaders like Ricardo, sharing their stories from, their background, their tips, their journey. So make sure to do that. Maybe write a comment as well of like who you want to see next on the podcast. We have a few names coming up. But Ricardo, I want to kind of like just start with like, if you could take us, like, how did your journey in the sport industry begin? Like, take us a little bit back to like your love and passion for sports.
Okay, so the passion for sports starts with me, I think. So it's something that I was used to go to soccer games with my father, with my brother.
Yeah.
Then we went to other sports. We were seeing different clubs. I started to practice basketball at 8 after trying tennis, badminton, gymnastics, judo, a little bit of everything, and then basketball became and football also. But basketball became my passion.
Nice.
Due to that, I ended in with the really good influence of good teachers and good coaches. I decided to study physical education and sports, and I went to the best and largest university here in Portugal. That is
right.
It was ISEF at the time. Right now, it's FMH, Faculdade Humana from University of Lisbon.
Right.
And I have a really good experience. There because I had the lucky to be asked to help with the basketball department at that time. That was starting to put together all the stats from the Portugal National Basketball League.
Nice.
And that project became a startup created by three of the most important basketball coaches in Portugal from the past, at that time, from the past 30 years. So, and with one teacher in the university that was a really entrepreneur.
Right.
And that changed my life. I started to be the first guy putting some data on the computer. And then the company started to grow and working with everything related to technology and sports.
Right.
Became the most important company doing sports stats here in Portugal. This was in the early 90s.
Right.
Then the first company doing real-time graphics for TV broadcasting. And after some years, when internet appears, also one of the best companies on technology and content in internet, launching the first internet portal related to sports.
Right.
And with all that experience, that really changed my life to become an entrepreneur and starting with sports and technology, then only technology, and now again moving to the sports area.
Well, that's awesome. And I mean, like as you said as well, just having that opportunity to get that early experience, and just getting your foot in the door, starting testing that, being part of that, both entrepreneurial and innovative project at that early stage must have been quite an experience, for you. And like you said, like kind of like opening your eyes a little bit to the possibilities that were coming ahead, I guess.
Yeah, it was that, and that's what time shows that guys coming from a background in sports, they can be successful in technology.
Right.
So that and that start to show me that if you have the passion, if you start to understand in a certain matter, there's no limits.
Right.
There's no limits. You can do it in different areas, and that was my first experience with like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And doing that here in Portugal. Okay, so it's and become the leader in areas where you had other guys in theory having the university preparation for motion graphics or from IT or from management, and by the end you have a group of 4 guys that were that studied physical education in sports in FMH in the University of Lisbon, that are running a company that is the best in Portugal in some of those areas. So there's no limits, and that's the vision on do what you want to do what you are happy to do, and let's move on.
Straight to it, just get on it. I mean, like that's a great advice. And I mean, like obviously now, like you have a lot of experience and knowledge, with entrepreneurship, with sports development, with your key experiences. And I guess like what are some of the key lessons that you have brought with you now to your nonprofit with social innovation sports? Like take a little bit about like your learning curve and some key lessons you brought into this project.
Yeah. So that the first one I can tell you, when I decided to work in this area, I started to take some more attention in things that were happening around me when I was traveling around the world and working in my previous company, where I was 200% involved for 15 years and traveling around the world, and I was looking with more attention on that. And when I was starting to launch this, I decided to visit a lot of entities in UK and in Germany, and understand what are they doing. At the same time, I was visiting a lot of people here in Portugal, and getting the calling to guys that I didn't know, calling to guys that the last time that I spoke with them, it was probably 20 years ago or 25 years ago, that were still in the sports area, and understanding how the sports is organized here in Portugal. And I was also entering and calling to guys that were strong in the social entrepreneurship here in Portugal.
Right.
Because there are guys really good on that, and then with a lot of experience, and also reading a lot. And I realized with this, my main goal, it was to make my idea.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Right. And I realized 3 things that everybody in Portugal will say that it is not true, but we are already spending a lot of money in sports. I'm not saying that we are spending well and in the right places, but it's a lot of money and can be double or triple, okay? If there's more money, good. But with the money that people are spending, we can do much more things. In terms of, there are still additional funds on the table that nobody is looking for that.
Yeah.
There's a an ecosystem and legislation that helps you to build things on different ways.
Right.
And there's a lot of people doing a really good job on the field. So looking at all those things, we decided, okay, so first of all, we will not be working on the field together with the youth people. There's already people doing that. So that's the organization in Social Innovation Sports.
Right.
Our main goal is to help projects that uses sports as a tool for social inclusion, social innovation. We really believe that the social innovators here in Portugal, they are not working. The only areas, of course, education is always important. It's the most important thing, but sports and arts are the two things that are able to engage the people from deprived communities with needs and change from one generation to the other, change the life of a family.
Yeah.
And that's what we are doing. And I have done this after and decided the focus after doing all those trips, visiting all that people. It was like a 6 months doing all that.
Right.
And then it was put our goals and start to implement and mostly and looking at the SDGs from the United Nations, where the sports applied in a lot of them.
Yeah.
And looking at the most important one for me, that is the 17th, that is related to partnerships.
Yeah.
And what we are doing is mostly connecting people, connecting sources of investment with people that has the ability to make the things happen on the ground. And sometimes we are the middle, translating the things and helping to implement. Sometimes you are only saying that guy, talk with the other one and the other one, and you together, and let's build a project, let's build a program, and we help them to build that. Right. That's what we are doing. And that came all from the entrepreneurial experience in different areas and all over the world.
I think sort of like, there's two things here that I think if we have to like touch upon as well. And one of them is like, which I think is a really good thing and a key lesson for a lot of young people, that are, listening and just sort of like thinking about an entrepreneurial path is that, with your new project as well, like you did that dirty work, you went out, you talked with all these people, you met up, you figured out, okay, what is happening? You're educating yourself, you're understanding the problems and the needs. It doesn't, you just don't like, okay, I have this idea, and then you start, but you just like, you have to build that foundation. That foundation is so extremely important. And I don't think enough people, know about this or talk about this enough. And that's why I wanted to highlight that. But second of all, as well, and you talk a lot about sort of like a lot of these, I guess, benefits and opportunities that were out in the Portuguese market that, clubs and organizations are not aware of. Like, how have sort of like the pandemic, impacted this? Because I will believe like now more than ever, like people are like, okay, where can we get like some extra funds? Where can we, get like some extra help? How has that sort of like impacted, social innovation sports in the pandemic?
It went well. So we have different sources of income. We have access to some funds and we applied to some funds related to the European Union or national funds focused on social innovation. On that area, things went well. We were successful. We had success with 3 projects that allow us to speed up the things that we are willing to do.
Right. That's awesome.
We have 2 additional sources. One related to let's call it like consultancy. Using the experience from the volunteers that work with us and being able to sell some consultancy projects to organizations that are able to pay it. Not usually the ones from the sports area, because in Portugal there's no money on that area. That's a couple of places where are some money.
Especially now.
Yeah. And the third one is related to services to entities and getting doing some. We use some of the entities that are working with on the field in sports to build team building projects for companies. And that area, stop it for it's freeze from the past 2 years. We had an additional couple of projects that are freeze because they depend on sponsorship from organizations, and we realized that the organizations were not taking decisions here in Portugal.
Yeah.
So let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the other areas, and we are growing. We have been doing all the time, even some projects that were based on doing sports events with people together that were not allowed. We have done things. We recorded videos. We put it people doing the exercise, doing the things that they were supposed to do live together with themselves, but doing with videos, recording themselves, doing the sports, and then giving a classification on that, and then making the tournament work. It was not as the initial rules and definitions, but we adapted because we can stop. And the most important things in our area, it was during this year and a half, is to make people doing exercise, putting them moving themselves, and on the other one, socializing.
Right.
And you do even if sometimes it's online, make them socialize, because we were working in some examples. We were working with young people with 19, 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Where they are living in a room alone.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, they were that close. Technicians were telling them, you cannot go out as you were doing 6 months ago. You need to be there. And we were focused on those things, so that the priorities changed. But we did not stop the activities. It's for us, it's impossible. Stop the activity due to the pandemic? No.
Yeah.
Moving things forward and adapt and see and look at the needs of the society.
And I guess kind of like just your role though as an entrepreneur, working close, with close with entrepreneurs, with startups, as a mentor, investor, and obviously an owner as well. Like I guess like if you look at the sports startup world developed in Lisbon and Portugal, like how has that sort of like progressed throughout, since I guess like you started your first project, and I guess like what are some of the key common trends you've seen in the sports tech area the last few years?
Yeah, the projects that I know, so people working in Portugal in sports, they need to be entrepreneurs. Right. Like themselves. So if you want to be a coach, you are an entrepreneur. You are creating your own job. You need to go and try to do it. It's a mix between entrepreneur and being volunteer. Yeah. Because the money that is paid here, it's a shame. So it's and there's that entrepreneur mindset is there for the past 40 years, but much more on a personal way. Right. Not creating an organization that can scale up, that can move on. So that is not so well organized, and people doesn't know how to do it. So the market there's a need in the market. There's a need in the market on an ecosystem for those people, those organizations, so that we can make some of those projects even become bigger, that we can teach the kids in university that's the road, the entrepreneur mindset. Even inside the organizations or in their own organizations, it's required, because the industry needs to grow, needs to have a different vision from the politicians. Nobody for example, in the current government, nobody knows what is sports. They don't know. Interesting. They don't know what is the social part of the sport, what is the industry. it's a mess. It's a mess.
Right.
So and all this needs to be built by the ones that are getting out of the university, the ones that are in the market, the ones that are in university, and build that. And it's something that we are trying to do. That I'm trying to do in the different areas where I'm touching point with the alumni, with the alumni club on the FMH. So it's we are trying to do some of those things. We are trying to help the university that is in a really good ecosystem, and it's open to that. I think that the future, it will be a good future. We have entities here in the country that are open to that, and it's really growing the number of kids that want to study sports, physical education, fitness, sports marketing, all those areas. So it's a we need, and it's my main goal. It's put all again entities together to create that ecosystem, to create the ecosystem of the sports tech, of the sports tech companies that are some here in Portugal, but they are not talking between each other, and there's no ecosystem organized.
So why do you think that is kind of like the case with sports, considering also like Lisbon is kind of like known, I guess, in a sense for being like a very like, you know, Europe, Silicon Valley, you know, kind of like, you know, the term, right? And then, you know, you have Web Summit, you have like this startup, especially in tech, right? Like this startup ecosystem. Like, why do you think this is so like, you know, non-existent in sports? Like where does those line kind of like just disappear? Like why do you think that is the case?
Because people that has the leadership in the sports area, they don't have a clue on this. It's a market, is a vitiating market from the past year. So that's not a good management on the sports area, neither in the governmental area, neither in the sports area, and the universities in management. That can be the area that usually drive that is a mess. It's a mess. Fortunately, we have in the University of Lisbon, we have right now people that understands that this is important, and I believe that good things will happen in the future. Let's see if it will be in the near future or not, but that people are understanding that, and as my foot on the alumni, FMH alumni, I think will help in some of those areas and bring people from the alumni that can help the university on driving that, because the university really needs the support from people that is in the market, that is on the ground, that understand, that knows different things. Technology I know, but there are other things that I'm not sensitive to that, and we need to mix that, and to mix different universities, to mix different people and make and the federations and make things happen. And but I do believe that we are nearby to make good things happen.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will, and obviously, you know, we have to talk a little about the FMH Alumni Project as well. But it's kind of like a little bit as we talked about before the podcast too. At the end of the day, it comes down to people, right? And sort of like having that mindset, that, you know, openness, that, you know, innovation and hungry for, you know, making a difference, making a change. And there's so much potential, you know, as we talked about, and as you already mentioned, you know, like, you know, what came out of, you know, this project back, you know, when you were studying at FMH, and like, you know, all the different companies you've been involved with. But I guess, like, as one of the key persons behind the FMH alumni, like, tell us a little bit more about, you know, this project itself. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is sort of like the game plan here, and what is sort of like the importance of building a strong alumni network at FMH?
Yeah, we understood, and talking with different people inside also the university, students, teachers, people from the management, that university was really closed.
Right.
So there's no relationship with outsiders, a few relationship with the market. So even the departments inside the university, they are close between themselves, and then the teachers close between themselves. So it's and the main goal is to open that, to start the conversations, to have a stronger relationship. And the easiest way to do it is starting with alumni.
Yeah.
That they are still connected, even if it was related to the 5 years that they have been there 20, 30 or 40 years ago. They are still connected. They feel when they are with their group, when they are there, they feel that connection.
Right.
That's an emotional connection that we need to use and bring people that are able to help the university in different areas to do it. And that's what we are doing right now. So we have a large group of people working right now. It's a group of 20 people that we are meeting on a regular basis. Nice. We created 7 work groups working and thinking about different areas. A couple of them are internal for the association, because you need to run that association. But then we have things related to employability and the relationship with the labor market and entrepreneurship. All those things putting in the same group. And we had this morning a meeting with the same group, that the group inside the university that is thinking on that. And we had again last week a meeting with Eduardo from Sporting, because we are looking at a partner to make things happen on this area, and we are building new people. And we have done, for example, in this area of employment, we have done last week the Alumni Day edition 0. I don't think it was 0, it was -1. Because we had done it online. It was the first official event from this direction, and from the association. And the focus was related to employment. Sure. And we launched 2 programs. One program related to mentorship, and the other one related to volunteering. Okay. Right. Additionally, we have areas related to the history of the university, the physical education, the sports in Portugal. Because it's an area that is really important, because the university is 80 years old. That means that the oldest students have like 100 years. And we are running to get the information, record some videos from some of those that are still alive and have really good experience to tell us, and also to get some of the paperwork that can disappear because nobody's taking a look at that, and it can be important to make it to keep it live, to digitalize it. And we have a group focus on that. We have another group focus on these things related to the digital transformation, the innovation, and those kind of things. We have a group also related to solidarity and corporate social responsibility, looking for the alumni that start to become older and need the help to keep engaged in the society. So there are some of the areas where we are starting to work, and where we are always open to have more people being part of the work group, to find partners to each of those areas, to work together with companies, to work together with the university, to work together with other universities, because we need to build the ecosystem. Right. If you want to build the ecosystem, the sports tech ecosystem, for example, to build a strong sports and medicine ecosystem, a strong sports management ecosystem, we need to work with the associations from the professionals on those areas. We need to work with the other universities that are also teaching those courses. We need to work with the companies that are in the market working in those areas. So with the health groups, with the fitness organizations, with the clubs, with the federations. So we need to work with all those entities.
No, for sure. And I guess like also like it's I think will be key as well, like involving sort of like the youth, right? Kind of like the new generation, the people that are studying there now, or maybe will study there in the next few years as well, because their mindset, their, I guess, like they are thinking a little bit different. It's always good kind of like getting that fresh perspective. And I think it's really good as well how you're pulling in, there's so much data, there's so much, group of people that have like this emotional, connection, and building upon that is going to be extremely important. And of course, like from our side at Sporting Global, we're more than happy, being part of that, and helping the dots with you guys. And that's, we're always here to support, as you know. But to kind of like wrap things up a little bit here, I guess like if you want to start thinking a little bit about like, mapping out some key tips, for students, out there that are, maybe planning to go a little bit an entrepreneurial path in the sport industry. I know you talked a little bit about it already with like coaches and volunteers and kind of like having that mindset. But I guess like for those that are like, maybe thinking specifically, okay, I want to like maybe start my own business or something like that in sports, like what are some of the key tips that they should have in mind from your perspective?
Yeah, the first thing that is required is passion.
Yeah,
they need to have the passion on what they will be doing, because
right.
they will be there 18 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 48 hours a day sometimes, right? Like, as you know. The second one is build a good team. Build a good team, the people with the same passion on that project, and preferably with complementary knowledge.
Right.
Okay. The third one, use all the tools that are completely open in the market right now to help on those processes. Accelerators, incubators, associations like the Alumni Association on your college, on your university, where there are people with experience, where there are different people, but go with the ones that have experience on the field, right? So it's completely different, a conversation with an entrepreneur or with a teacher of entrepreneurship that never made his own project, that have never been on the field, that never failed, and never had one success. So it's really important. But the most important thing is that self-motivation and move on. And self-motivation is the word, because it's that there's a now way that is easy to go, but you are the one to go there.
Right.
You are the one to go there, and you need to be self-motivated. Nobody will be telling you, come this way, come on, baby, let's move. No. Self-motivation, and move and drive and get the phone and get the email and try. I want to speak with I want to know the guy that created Sporting Global. Move yourself. Go ahead.
Make it happen.
Try, make it happen.
We're both open for those conversations,
Yeah. Right. And the same thing for himself, or even for the guy that created Nike. Try it. Do it. Yeah. Probably can do it. And if you want it, understand where he lives. Understand where he had breakfast on a daily basis.
Yeah, where does he take his coffee? Where's his coffee spot?
Yeah, if it's the most important thing for you, move it and
find a way. Yeah. I think it's a great advice to sort of like just at the end of the day, it comes down to your drive. Like it's your passion, your drive, your willingness to do whatever it takes. And yeah, I mean, like as well, just like learn from the people that have done, that have been through the journey, that have done those mistakes and failed, because that's part of the journey. And I mean, like we always talk about it here too. Like when I started Sporting Global, I was like, well, this is my first first business, right? Like kind of like on my own. And I knew like, okay, I have the passion, I have the drive, but I need people to guide me, so like having like mentors, like advisors that can guide you on your path, like is extremely important, and it's stuff to think about as well, when building that team and building that foundation. But it's really good to sort of like mapping out those key elements of what do you need to do, and as you said, to kind of like finalize this as well is it starts with you, like it comes down to your passion and your drive. I don't know, Ricardo, if you have any final remarks, but if not, I think we're at to reach our final end of this podcast.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was a great final question, and I put it there. All the things that I do believe that are really important for someone that needs to drive his career. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think the same things that I told as for an entrepreneur, for someone that is creating a business.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for someone that wanna have a career in an organization well established in the market, that is well done, for sure. 100%. There's always a word that need to be on top of all these things, that is ethics.
Yeah.
Because it's when we say that we want to grab the guy where he has his coffee, there's a way to go there and to do it with ethics and get to be in touch with those guys. But that's one really important thing, and it's valid for everything. And understanding that you need to bring value for the things that you are working with. So
100%
for the organization where you are working. There's no sense to you to stay there. That needs to be a decision made by yourself or by the ones that are running the organization where you are not bringing value. So it needs to be optimistic and drive your passion and drive to do the things that you like to do.
Absolutely. Well, with that, Ricardo, I would like to thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing your story and for, just opening our eyes a little bit on the entrepreneurship world and what's happening in Portugal and Lisbon and what you're working on as well. And of course, we wish you all the best, and we'll talk very soon, of course, as well. And for those of you that have been, part of this, all the way to the end, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get reminded every week, with interviews from key leaders around the globe sharing their thoughts and insights. So Ricardo, thank you once again for taking the time. And as always, we finish with Vi snakkes, which means see you later in Norwegian. So now you know some Norwegian too, Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck for supporting Global and count on us for all the support and for all the synergies that we can be.
Well, we appreciate that, Ricardo. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you very much.